with the US Supreme Court having cleared the way for the extradition of Tahawwur Rana, convict in the 2008 Mumbai terror attack case, dismissing his final review petition. Rana, who is a Canadian national of Pakistani origin, is wanted in India for his role in the terror attacks, and this was his last legal opportunity to avoid extradition after losing several battles in the US courts. Now, this petition filed by Rana back in November was denied by the US Supreme Court on the 21st of January, where he is currently held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in LA. So in the meantime, as far as the Mumbai terror attack accused Tahawwur Rana is concerned, he's lost the last legal battle in the US as the Apex Court, which has now cleared the extradition to India, and Tahawwur Rana, who is currently detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in LA, is said to be closely associated with Pakistani-American terrorist David Coleman Headley, who was also one of the main conspirators of the Mumbai terror attack. So that was his last legal option, which the US Supreme Court has dismissed against his extradition to India in connection with the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks that claimed the lives of over 160 people. Petition denied is what the Supreme Court said when the Apex Court order came on the 21st of January, a day after Donald Trump was actually sworn in as the president. Let's listen in to Mr. Ujjwal Nikam, senior advocate and of course the 2611 prosecutor, what he has to say on this development.
Yeah, because finally the Supreme Court of America has dismissed the review petition of Tahawwur Rana. I say it's a success for India because Tahawwur Rana and David Headley are the close links behind the terror attack of 26 November. By extraditing Tahawwur Rana, India will get also the more information and evidence in respect of the involvement of some of the Pakistani people, including the Pakistan security apparatus. I must say that David Headley has given such revelation and evidence in Mumbai court, also produced the email correspondence showing the links between Lashkar-e-Toiba and Pakistan ISI army officers. So I am very optimistic that Tahawwur Rana extradition will give more evidence about the involvement of some of the security apparatus of Pakistan.
Advocate Parvez Memon, who's joining us here on the broadcast. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Memon. What do you make of this extradition as far as when it comes to the two countries having the treaty, but how it has been working now? It's been a long legal battle and a battle for justice for many of the victims of 2611 terror attacks.
Yeah, definitely it's a big decision as far as the US courts are concerned. This was the final court of appeal and there is no legal remedy now left for this person, Mr. Rana, to explore in the US. He will have to be extradited to India very soon. But having said so, it is justice too much of delay to see this day that he will be extradited after 18 years of that terror attack. And plus, when he is produced in India, Mr. Nikam would agree with me that there will be a complete judicial process to even try him de novo, because trial in absentia is not in this case because the BNSS was not then. He will be tried under the CRPC and he has to be tried like all others. So I expect that the government of India now, with the overwhelming evidence that we have collected against all the perpetrators of this terror attack, plus the conviction of Ajmal Kasab and others, would at least pave the way for the Indian judiciary to fast-track the trial of this person and put him to justice, so that the people who have suffered the terror attack, who have been waiting for the last 18 years to see justice, should at least get justice in India as soon as possible. So I would appeal to the government of India through your channel that when he is brought to India, his trial be expedited, and I should also expect Mr. Nikam to appear there, who would do justice to the cause.
All right, let's get in a word also from Arunil, who is joining us here on the broadcast as well. The submissions by the Indian agencies. Arunil, if you can take us through that, which exactly made the case even more as far as the plotter, the mastermind is also concerned. How was he in the know as far as the logistical support? Everything that has now been concerned, right from the planning till the execution of the Mumbai terror attacks and the involvement of Tahawwur Rana.
Well, Nikam, the senior counsel, who's an integral part of the investigation as well as the court proceedings that basically took place later on as well. Even the hanging of Ujjwal Kasab will be joining us shortly. Our reporter basically has reached his residence as well. Now, he was pointing something extremely significant. What he said, that Tahawwur Rana, his involvement along with David Headley is very much known. When the interrogation with Headley also had basically taken place, the involvement of Tahawwur Rana, who served in the Pakistan army in the past, came to the fore, and that is where India was able to produce cogent evidence against Rana. His extradition, when he's brought to India, his further extradition might bolster the claim of India that there was indeed Pakistan's involvement in the dastardly attacks of 26/11 Mumbai attacks. How Tahawwur Rana was acting as a co-conspirator with David Headley, how they were basically the masterminds in selecting the locations where the attacks basically were orchestrated or were carried out by their ground people, Ujjwal Kasab, the terrorists who had come via the sea on the shores of Mumbai. Everything was meticulously planned by David Headley, Tahawwur Rana, as well as, according to the Indian agencies, by the ISI as well, and that is why his extradition becomes extremely significant in this case. Now, politics has also broken out. Sanjay Raut, the leader from
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the political angle there, Arunil, because for now we want to focus exactly when it comes to Tahawwur Rana, the accusations and how the plot really unfolded when it comes to the Mumbai terror attacks. What have been the findings till now? Let's put that out in focus. Now, he's been crucial when it comes to providing the blueprint of the 26/11 terror attack to the Lashkar-e-Toiba. This is all part of the NIA charge sheet. Now, individual playing also important role when it comes to substantial as far as helping David Coleman Headley in opening an immigration firm in Mumbai, also playing the double agent Headley that actually did a reconnaissance of the targets, recce of the areas where the plan of terror attacks would be executed. And as far as Rana's office in Mumbai is concerned, that was actually used for planning and for plotting terror activities. There is another finding that he knew of David Coleman Headley's intentions, his meetings and what was going on, what was being discussed, and also had a direct knowledge, or is being said, that the involvement of Pakistan's deep state when it comes to the 26/11 terror attacks. All of this is now part of the ongoing investigation. Let's talk about the charges here. What all, as far as makes him a convict? The conspiracy charge, the biggest one, is to wage a war, to commit murder, to commit forgery and cheating, to use this as a genuine, forged documents as well as, and we talk about when it comes to committing a terrorist act. This is all now becomes as far as trouble for David Coleman Headley, because all of this would be tried in India as far as his acts are now concerned, because now he has extinguished the last legal option that he had. Major General G.D. Bakshi sir is also with us. Sir, biggest development that we are getting to know right now, as far as there has been a change in government in United States, we are looking at the extradition of Tahawwur Rana that has now been made possible in the US Supreme Court.
Yes, it is a long overdue step. These were involved in the, the Mumbai case of mass murder of 165 Indian and foreign citizens. This was one of the biggest acts of mass terrorism which held the Mumbai city hostage for almost 3-4 days. These people, we had been asking for their extradition for years and years, decades in fact now, 1 decade plus over. And I'm glad that they have now been given back. But may I just sound a little note of caution? The timing of this, is it that they will now also ask reciprocal, extradition of those they have accused of being involved in the Pannu case in the United States? We have to also think of that.
Okay. Well, remains to be seen exactly how it works out, because Mr. Kuldeep Khoda is also with us here on the broadcast. What do you believe as far as not just when it comes to the investigation and the agencies, Mr. Khoda, we also would want to talk about diplomatically how it has been as far as India's persistence chain that is now concerned, that it made extradition possible. And in such cases, we are talking about a man where justice is still awaited in the case for 17 long years. How does the extradition process from here on continue after the US court has dismissed his final appeal?
I think now the diplomatic formalities are to be completed. We should not take much time after the Supreme Court has cleared his extradition. Meanwhile, we have to develop diplomatic pressure on United States to extradite other terrorists. The Khalistani terrorists who are there, Goldie Brar is there, who's involved in organized crime in India. And there are many other fugitives who are staying there, who are wanted in various terrorist cases in India. India has to keep the pressure on and expedite the papers and all other formalities and follow the cases in the courts aggressively to get maximum of these terrorists extradited to India so that they face the trial here and things are brought to justice. Even Panun is wanted in terrorist cases here. He should also be, the pressure should be developed on that also. So likewise, there are lots of terrorists in Canada also. So India has to up the ante after this development and bring US on pressure. Otherwise, US is going to bring pressure on India to extradite the people who they feel they are involved in the attempt on the life of Panun. So we have to move very fast and aggressively in this case and not be very grateful to United States for clearing one terrorist. And there are, in fact, 1/3 of the terrorists who are wanted in India are in US, as per the reports of the intelligence agencies. So we have to keep the pressure on.
And several government changes that have also been happening. Yes, Mr. Menon, because we would also want to understand the legal aspect to it, because now India is seeking to extradite him for the trial on the charges based on the identical conduct of the issue that happened in Chicago case. This is what the double jeopardy was being witnessed, that can he, for the same offense, be taken up to the courts twice?
Yeah, so for your audience, let me first tell that this is not a mere give and take or a reciprocation thing that they will give us one person and we will give them other person in return of this person being handed over to India. It's a judicial process. An extradition proceeding is governed by the treaties between the two countries where evidence is to be considered by the courts of law. So there may be hundreds of other people who may be wanted in India, in the US. Maybe there is no evidence against them and they will face the trial. And then there is a process. So it starts right from the magistrate court, going up to appellate court. And now, as in Rana's case, we have seen that 17 years have been exploited for this purpose, that because there was the judicial process from the lower courts to the appeal courts. And now today, finally, the Honorable Supreme Court of the US has denied his appeal. So all of this process has to be undergone for any particular person that you are talking about. So it is not that we should ask or we should pressurize or he is being extradited because of diplomatic pressure being put on that government. No, this is a judicial process, and as per the judicial process, this person is being handed over to India. Similarly, if whatever the US wants from India, the US will have to substantiate the evidence against that person, which has to go through the scrutiny of Indian courts here, who should feel that, say, for example, Pannu's name was taken by Mr. Bakshi. So if there is no evidence submitted by the government of US to the government of India, which the government of India feels is insufficient to extradite Pannu, perhaps he will not be extradited. So it's not a diplomatic thing or something that we will bother.
It's a judicial process. Major General Bakshi sir, do you want to talk a little bit more on that before I go across to another breaking update? Because it is the US Supreme Court. He has taken all legal possible actions or remedies, and that did not work out for him. It is now the apex court in the United States which has denied his petition to halt the extradition, a move that actually strengthens India's efforts to bring him to justice.
Exactly. This is, I agree, a long and tortuous judicial process, but we must commence it if we have not done so already against Pannu and a whole lot of others who have been going scot-free, who have been threatening to blow up Indian airlines and planes who have been threatening to attack our embassy and their personnel in Canada and in the United States, attack temples. We must immediately take up the cases to extradite Pannu also.
All right.
That
Well, that seems to be, when it comes to the issues that are now taken up, when it comes to the changes that we have seen happening in the Canadian government, and also with the change that has now come across with the new government of President Trump taking over. But politics here in India, as also in the meantime, let's play out reactions that have been coming in with this big development coming in from the US Supreme Court with Tahawwur Rana all set to be extradited. Sena UBT faction leader seems to have invoked the names of Dawood and Memon as well, saying that Rana's extradition is great, but more needs to be done, especially when it comes to bringing back India's most wanted man, Dawood Ibrahim.
ये एक न्यायालयीन प्रोसेस है, ये अच्छी बात है, लेकिन नीरव मोदी का क्या? मेहुल चौकसी कब आएगी? आपने दाऊद इब्राहिम छोटा शकील को भी हिंदुस्तान में घसीट कर लाने की बात की थी बीजेपी ने, ये सब कब आएगी?
Well, Arunil, as the key breakthrough that has now happened for India in the 26/11 terror attack here, it seems that Sanjay Raut is saying not just Tahawwur Rana, others are also involved when it comes to being a threat to India, to Indian nationals, should also be treated in the same way, should also be extradited and being brought to justice here back home.
Well, Amita, there is no doubt that this extradition of Tahawwur Rana, one of the prime masterminds of the horrific 26/11 attack, it is a massive victory for India, India's diplomacy as well as the legal coordination that has worked with the US government. But it seems like this is not enough for the opposition leader from the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena party, that is Sanjay Raut. He has mentioned about what about Dawood Ibrahim, what about Chota Shakil, what about Nirav Modi or Mehul Chokshi. He's saying the BJP has announced that they will also be brought to India and they will be brought to justice on Indian soil. A kind of a it will be a moral victory for the victims of the attacks or people who have been affected by the bank scams done by Nirav Modi or Mehul Chokshi. What happens to that? This is a question basically Sanjay Raut is asking at present. With respect to the other leaders from the government are concerned, be it Krishna Hegde from Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena or Ram Kadam of the BJP, they have hailed PM Modi's international diplomacy, saying that finally when Tahawwur Rana will be brought to India, he can be questioned and Pakistan's cover can be blown.
Right. But Mr. Koda, that's the point, because there is no doubt when it comes to the involvement of deep state there in Pakistan, the involvement of Lashkar-e-Toiba, the involvement of Pakistan's ISI, and we have seen dossiers after dossiers that have been sent to Pakistan. Already with the evidence that India time and again has been giving for the last 16 years, what exactly has been done by Pakistan? Tahawwur Rana has been named in the 400-page charge sheet as a key conspirator in the attacks, and is also accused when it comes to assisting David Coleman Headley. But what exactly is Pakistan doing on this?
Pakistan is an enemy country who, and it is sending armed terrorists to India, whether it was Punjab or in J&K for last more than 30 years. And they are training the terrorists, they are sending the terrorists, they are financing the terrorists. To expect an extradition from Pakistan is not, I don't think it is practically possible. The only way to get people like Dawood from Pakistan is to get them the way US got Bin Laden. That's the only way. And we should plan for that. If US is not defensive on intruding into other territories, other countries' territories to kill the wanted terrorists, which they have, to whom they have declared wanted terrorists, what is holding back India into launching an offensive straight into Pakistan, developing intelligence and launch attack, otherwise expecting Pakistan to comply with our requests is
Pakistan
not,
having shown its place already by India, because we have seen, on diplomatic levels, on government levels as well, terror and talks cannot happen, on the same platform. That is something that India has made it clear. And this could have been at a better time or a better example that India could give. Having that extradition treaty with the United States, this is how things change. As far as now the US Supreme Court, they're denying dismissing his petition, and he is finally, when it comes to paving way for his extradition to India. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on the broadcast. Thank you very much for taking out your time.